joints. Now, rheumatoid arthritis goes so much deeper than just our joints. It can affect a variety of places on our body, and it can affect us emotionally and mentally as well. So I want to go ahead and dive deep into this. So it's important to start off with knowing that I am not a doctor. I'm not medically trained in this area, and the information that I'll be providing in this video is from credible sources, so I'll be linking those down below. Extreme fatigue. Boy oh boy, when I was in middle school and in high school and even in college, this is really what struck me as something that was a red flag that I ignored. Especially when I was in middle school, I would get home, drop my bag, and literally just feel like I needed to pass out, like I couldn't stay awake, I couldn't keep my eyes open anymore. So another symptom is a slight fever. People who have rheumatoid arthritis often run at a higher body temperature. Stiffness and joint tenderness are also symptoms and signs of rheumatoid arthritis. For example, stiffness, I feel it in the mornings, and I remember in college waking up, putting my swollen, chubby feet onto the ground, and with even just a little bit of weight, so painful, you guys. Joint swelling and redness goes hand in hand with what I just said about my feet. Yeah, you may see some joint swelling around your fingers, your toes, your feet, anywhere where a joint is. Another thing is joint redness. So around the joint, it almost looks like you had a heating pad on there because there's kind of like a red blotch around the area. It doesn't have to be a blotch, but it can just look red. It's redness around the joints. So those are some symptoms that can help you identify whether or not you may have rheumatoid arthritis. Now, when you do have rheumatoid arthritis, there are other symptoms that this autoimmune disease can come with, some being with your skin. For example, a lot of people with rheumatoid arthritis have skin conditions as well, or experience types of rashes. In my own experience, my senior year of college, I started my medication journey with trying to, slow down the RA for me. And the beginning of that was wild. I was doing the self-injections, and I think at that time I was on Enbrel. Yeah, I was on Enbrel. But I woke up one day and I saw these spots on my chest, on my arms, and on my legs, and it was almost like these little tiny just rashes everywhere. I have a really great care team, so I was able to reach out to them, and though there wasn't any definite answer, those actually went away for me. Eyes. Our eyes can be affected by rheumatoid arthritis. How? I wondered how too, but when I saw my ophthalmologist, she let me know that actually one of the main things that happens is your eyes are actually drier than others. So people with rheumatoid arthritis often have really dry eyes, and you know what? I didn't even know I had dry eyes until I actually started using eye drops, and I was like, wow. Salivary glands. You guys, this is so strange because I just learned this recently that your salivary glands can be affected by RA. Why this is so strange for me is because when I was, I think about like 12 or 13 years old, I would get this intense swelling on both sides of my neck whenever I'd eat something sour. And what that ended up being, my doctor was able to find that I had a salivary gland stone. I had a minor procedure to have the stone taken out so there would be less swelling. But anyway, that was like, whoa, when I read that. Kidneys can also be affected by rheumatoid arthritis. It's important to know that with certain types of medication, they can be really difficult for our kidneys and our liver to process, and it can actually wear and tear on those organs. Now, of all the symptoms I've talked about, something that's extremely important for you to know is that rheumatoid arthritis is a spectrum. It really is. You can meet someone who has rheumatoid arthritis and it's pretty well managed, and they're living life as they kind of normally have. Maybe just on the outside, we don't really always know what's going on inside. But you'll also meet people with rheumatoid arthritis that are losing mobility in certain parts of their body and are extremely debilitated by this disease. And so there is a spectrum. But what we know of medically at this time is that your body is creating antibodies that are going in and they're actually attacking the healthy joint tissue. Blood test is rheumatoid factor. This tests for an antibody, and it will say if you're higher risk of having this or not. Another one is anti-CCP. Anti-CCP is an antibody that believes that the cells it's attacking are foreign things. They're foreign to your body. So for example, if we were to have a cold or something, those are there because they're foreign and they would help keep us well. Osteoarthritis is actually the mechanical wear and tear of a joint, whereas rheumatoid arthritis is our antibodies attacking healthy tissue. So it's wearing down that joint, wearing down that area, not from wear and tear, but by our own body really attacking that area. How many people have rheumatoid arthritis? I remember thinking this in college when I was alone and I was scared and I felt uncomfortable with my body. I felt like there was no one I could really relate to at that time. And while studies show that for every 100,000 people in the United States, 41 people have rheumatoid arthritis. That's wild. That means that 1.3 million people in the United States have rheumatoid arthritis. Alright, so when you first get rheumatoid arthritis, it is most often that it will attack your small joints, meaning your hands, specifically like fingers, hand, your toes, and your foot. Now, just because these are small joints doesn't mean these are small pains. I know for me that when I first got RA, the first place I found presence in were my feet and my hands, specifically my fingers. As RA progresses throughout your life, it does have the potential of spreading to larger joints. Using the signs and symptoms that we went over earlier are really important. If you think you have rheumatoid arthritis or you are feeling a variety of those symptoms for like day to day, I would say bring this up with your doctor as soon as possible, because the earlier you catch rheumatoid arthritis, the more likely you are to be able to get into remission. And remission is like where you want to be. Trust me, I'm not there yet. I'm working so hard, but I can't wait to get there. There's a variety of people who have RA who haven't caught this in time. And studies have shown that after 10 years of having RA that is not treated at its highest potential, that people start to retreat from their work, meaning they turn away from jobs they love, or they have to stop doing jobs they love because they're in so much physical pain, or because the job can't be modified to work for where their body is at that time. Now, if you're in all that pain and you're experiencing a variety of these symptoms, and even things that aren't joint related like we discussed, like skin, kidney, or eye issues, there's a plethora of them, this can make it so uncomfortable to work out. I know this firsthand because for a while I stopped doing the things I love when it came to working out because it would put me in so much pain. And just the thought of knowing I used to be able to do something with so much ease that's now so painful and so much harder than it was really defeating in certain areas of my life. What I've come to realize through my own personal journey is it's so important to not give up working out, to not give up physical exercise. Yes, it is painful, but it doesn't mean you have to stick to the things you used to do. Something that's really important that I'm learning finally is I can't compare myself to who I used to be. So weird. I used to compare myself to others at one point in my life, which was really unfortunate, but I also started comparing myself with RA to who I was before I had this autoimmune disease, and that's not healthy either. Swimming, qigong, flow yoga, or gentle yoga. There are also a variety of things that exist out there, and if you know more, comment on the comments because I am super intrigued to find out more. So while these things can hurt while I'm doing them, I know that by keeping my body active and moving, I'm building muscle, which is actually protecting my joints. So there are 3 classifications of rheumatoid arthritis drugs that I'm going to go over with you. And bear with me, you guys, because I'm not very good at pronouncing this one. Non-steroidal anti-inflammatory drugs. This treats the inflammation, but it doesn't necessarily stop the RA from spreading. The second classification of medication available is DMARDs. which stands for disease-modifying anti-rheumatic drugs. These actually go in and they help with the spread and progression of RA. So they're going below the surface level and really getting in there. Now everybody's body takes that second classification of medication, and I'm one of those people. Like I showed my Rancia shot in one of my previous videos. I explained that Humira and Enbrel worked for a little bit, but then my body stopped taking to that. So my body wasn't accepting those types of drugs. So there is a third classification that does exist, a biologic DMARDS, and that stands for a biological response modifier. Very similar to the one we just went over, but the concept is that your body actually takes this medication in differently. So it actually receives it differently than the previous one. Now, more specifics on that, I'm not quite sure. I'm still doing my research into that. There's a lot to know on that. Financially, what can I expect with rheumatoid arthritis? Now, there are a variety of programs that you can reach out to for. And if you're on medication, you can always ask your doctor if they have any programs for co-payments with that medication. Sometimes your doctors will have little cards to give you for co-payment plans where you can call the company, the drug company, to see if you qualify for co-assistance with your co-payment. But a study that was done with 2,000 rheumatoid arthritis patients found that the annual cost of RA medication and appointments will cost someone $5,720. That's a lot, you guys. But what's even more staggering is that for those who are using higher medications, that third class we spoke of, the biologicals, that can range anywhere from $15,000 a year to $20,000 a year per person. Ouch. But these are realities, and while they're harsh to think of, it's not just a disease that affects our bodies, our minds, and our emotions. It also affects us financially too. A lot of mental and emotional challenges that come with this. For me specifically, I experienced a really deep depression at the end of my senior year of college, right when I was graduating. It really should have been one of the happiest times I thought of my life, because I worked really hard to graduate, and because I had looked up to that as a child, I didn't really, have like a big dream about my wedding someday or anything. I always dreamed about graduating because not everyone in my family has gotten the opportunity to do that. But for me, that time was really sad. I felt so alone. I had a limp walking up to get my diploma because my knee was so inflamed. I had to grab my diploma with my left hand, and while this doesn't seem like a big deal to some people, I understand it could be worse, but for me in the moment, it took something away from my confidence at that time. Because we're in constant pain, and because the lifestyles we may have lived before rheumatoid arthritis really affected us, it can send us into a state of not wanting to go out, not wanting to be around the people we used to be around. And oftentimes it's not to do necessarily with those people individually, but it has to do with the fact that it's hard to be around people who you can't do the same activities as them without being in pain. Thank you all for watching this video. I wanted to let you all know I did make an Instagram for this channel called jtakesonra. There we can take a look at some up close and personal documentation of inflammation, kind of a day-to-day of how I'm doing. I would love for you to be added into that community, and I look forward to seeing you all on that platform. Also, if you're ever feeling down, or you're just feeling like you're in a lot of pain and you just need some words of encouragement, feel free to DM me on there. I will do my best to get back to you as soon as possible with hopefully some words that can help lift your spirits. I know this is tough, but you're not alone. Have a good day. Take care, you guys. Stay well during this cold and flu season. Mwah.